Let's take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
There's enough to go around.
With Mr. Chef seasoning cubes and powders, every meal is something to look forward to.
Me first.
Mr. Chef, creating delightful memories.
Ooh la la. Sweet nutrition.
It is morning, a new beginning. As you prepare everyone for the day ahead, just anything is not enough. Only you make breakfast special, creamy, tasty, with vitamins and nutrients we need for a delightful, healthy start.
So start your day right with Hollandia Evap.
Right nutrients for a healthy breakfast.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates. Because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there. And they never tasted this good.
Thanks for staying. The Director General World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says her office will continue to support the federal government to ensure more medical facilities, including vaccines, are made available for the country. Dr. Okonjo-Iweala stated this when she led her team from Geneva on a courtesy visit to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Kenneth Nanim reports.
Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala assumed duty as the Director General of World Trade Organization about 2 weeks ago and is on a week walking visit to her home country, Nigeria. The new WTO DG is thankful to President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigerians for the support given to her to attain such position. She pledged the commitment of the World Trade Organization to ensure a review of export restrictions occasioned by COVID-19 with a view to enable member countries have access to medical supplies needed to contain coronavirus.
There were 91 countries at the beginning who had restrictions and prohibitions on export of medical supplies and equipment. We are now down to 59. So we've reduced considerably, but it's still too many in my view. So one of the things the WTO can do is to work with members to reduce these export restrictions.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, acknowledged Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's track records, which brought her to the international scene, and expressed the confidence that she will bring her wealth of experience to bear for the country to benefit in the global trade and investment businesses.
Your tenure will bring succor and relief to countries that are under intense economic pressure, with the budget deficits left, right, and center, with the deficits in infrastructure, housing deficit. We definitely believe that your tenure will bring succor to each and every one of us.
The WTO DG and the SGF were on the same page on the need to initiate policies that will engender good governance in the country. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
And Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is advising Nigerians to leverage on the opportunities provided by COVID-19 to key into e-commerce as the services industry continues to expand. She was speaking at a meeting with the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, who expressed determination of the regulator as well as government to address inefficiencies that resulted in the closure of factories. Leah Katun Babatunde reports that she also met with the business community.
It is the second day of her visit to Nigeria, and Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is at the headquarters of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The issues today include job creation, balance of trade, value addition, export finance, and the well-being of the investing environment. Governor Godwin Emefiele makes a passionate plea for a chance to grow local industries with a commitment to ensuring all inefficiencies that led to the closure of factories are resolved.
We're working through our ease of doing business committee to ensure that we make life easy for people who want to do business in Nigeria. And you, being the DG of WTO, we would need your help.
We even have a project where the fees have been lowered for women-owned enterprises. And this is an area where the WTO, we have a great deal of interest in trying to correct the inequalities, those excluded from globalization and from the benefits of trade. Trade has lifted millions and billions out of poverty. But, you know, some people have also been left behind, even in rich countries.
Both agreed deliberate steps must be taken to urgently key into the global energy transition plan. She also met the business community, where barriers to trade and healthy competition were in focus.
This country has the potential to be an engine of investment, innovation, prosperity, and job creation for all Nigerians, for West Africa, and for the continent as a whole.
The meeting ended with a commitment to make use of every available opportunity and facility to develop the country. In Abuja, Leah Katung-Babatunde, NTA News.
In the meantime, Nigeria will continue to explore ways to attract more foreign direct investment to promote national development. Acting Director General of Directorate of Technical Cooperation in Africa, Mahmoud Adamu, stated this at a workshop in Abuja. Musa Abubakar reports.
With weak economic growth and COVID-19 pandemic driving decline in remittances, World Bank projected Nigeria could lose $2 billion from the diaspora. This is a situation development partners here are concerned. This workshop is to explore ways to improve and sustain Nigeria's diaspora foreign direct investment with a view to investing in critical sectors of the economy for national development.
Since its creation, the Directorate has implemented programs and activities under its scientific and technical exchange program STEP, funded under the Nigerian Technical Cooperation Fund, NTCF.
Yes, there has been some reduction in diaspora remittances, but it is not as much as the 20% that was initially thought of.
The forum is to come up with far-reaching resolutions critical to driving growth and development in the country. In Abuja, Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Let's turn our attention to security matters now. Kaduna State government will explore better ways of protecting schools to avoid kidnap of students by bandits. This is coming from the state governor, Nasiru Ahmad El-Rufai, shortly after an extraordinary security meeting with stakeholders on ways of ending the abduction of students in the state. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
This extraordinary meeting, presided by Governor Nasiru Ahmad El-Rufai, is coming on the heels of efforts by security personnel to rescue the abducted students of Federal College of Forestry and Mechanization Africa in Kaduna and the 3 teachers of LGEA Primary School Rima Binungwari.
This state has always faced security challenges, but this time our schools are being targeted. We've had 3 kidnap attempts in the last 3 days. So we felt we need to bring all the stakeholders together to lay out our strategy and also to get input from them. Maybe there is something we're missing. We've taken many of the suggestions on board. One very clear thing that came out of the interaction is the resolve of all communities that schools should not be closed. The community leaders would work with the security agencies to ensure that our schools are safe and are protected further.
The stakeholders have vowed to sustain the tempo of the engagement until the abducted students and teachers regain freedom. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, desirous of sustained innovation and production of sufficient military fighter vehicles, Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru visits Command Engineering Depot, Kaduna, to take stock of efforts being made in the production of needed military hardwares for the armed forces. Sulaiman Abdullahi Regachukun reports.
It is a new day for officers and soldiers at the Command Engineering Depot, Kaduna, home of innovation and production of indigenous military vehicles for the Nigerian Armed Forces. Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, undertakes assessment tour to workshops where mines-resistant vehicles, mines rollers, patrol vans, among other operational vehicles, are produced locally by the Command Depot of the Nigerian Army, an effort propelled by the Buhari administration to reduce over-dependence on foreign countries for military requirements in dealing with prevailing realities. The maiden visit by the Chief of the Army Staff is affirmative of his resolve to ensure sustained provision of military vehicles to support the Nigerian Armed Forces in the battlefield. Sulaiman Abdullahi Regachukun, NTA News.
Let's talk legislative matters. The Senate has passed the Nigerian Labour Act of 2004 Amendment Bill for second reading. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill seeks upwards review of fines in the act.
While the Senate has taken various measures to ensure job creation in Nigeria, it has not ignored the need for the protection of the rights of those already in service. The process has commenced with the bill that seeks to amend Nigeria's labor law, which converts increased fines and stiffer penalties for defaulters. The bill, sponsored by Senator Francis Onyewuchi, among other issues, seeks to check unlawful termination of contract.
Fines in the Labour Act for offences relating to Section 21, breach of terms and conditions of employment as it relates to the wage hour, nature of employment, leave, contract of employment, among others. The present fine is 800 naira for first offence and 1,500 for second or subsequent offences. The proposed fine is 500,000 and 1 million respectively.
And he has highlighted among some of the ill treatment of workers that has to do with denial of maternity protection and employment of women, and of course employment of young persons in unreasonable circumstances. It will also show very clearly that we are very critical of anything that comes in the guise of slavery, because forced labor is what is tagged modern slavery today.
I want the review to reflect the realities of what was then when this law was made in the first instance and what is today.
The Federal Investor of Medical and Health Sciences in Ekiti State Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, passed second reading.
To offer to the general population, as a form of public service, the results of training and research in medicine and allied disciplines, and to foster the practical application of those results.
Senate concurred on 3 bills. These include the Federal Capital Territory Health Insurance Agency Establishment Bill. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And the House of Representatives has passed for second reading a constitution amendment bill that seeks to grant powers to the National Assembly to summon the President on issues bordering on national security. The bill seeks similar powers to state houses of assembly to summon governors of states. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
Sponsor of the bill, Representative Sergius Ogun, while highlighting its merits, said the 1999 Constitution has no provision that gives express powers to the legislature to summon the presidents and governors of states, which he stressed is a handicap in line with the principle of separation of powers.
Powers to make laws for the Federation and for which we even appropriate monies for. We also think we should have powers to invite or to summon the president.
The bill was referred to the House Constitution Review Committee for further legislative action. Also passed for second reading is the bill seeking the establishment of Nigeria Police Academy as a degree awarding institution. and the bill seeking the establishment of mental health departments to protect the rights of persons affected.
It will provide the necessary and the required impetus for the institution to now continue to operate like a university and still producing our desired police officers.
Other features at plenary include adoption of resolution on the need to tackle blockade of highways by articulated vehicles following a motion from Representative Aisha Duku, and the need to provide medical and humanitarian assistance to victims of road accidents as raised by Representative Sani Maruf.
Over 40 victims, mostly rural dwellers, are currently hospitalized in Dambata and Munjibul General Hospitals.
House members have urged telecommunication operators to halt the planned suspension of unstructured supplementary service data (USSD), a technology used in communication to check bank accounts or airtime balance, as moved by Representative Nicholas Osai, while the motion from Representative Shina Pella calling for improved discharge of mandates by the National Orientation Agency was adopted.
To reorientate Nigerians on their general attitude to waste and affluent lifestyles, to also propagate the need to eschew all vices in public life, such as corruption, dishonesty, ethnic and parochial and religious bigotry.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
As the first quarter of the year 2021 approaches its finishing line, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu is appealing to the National Assembly to conclude work on the amendment of the Electoral Act. The appeal was made during a consultative meeting with professional bodies and labor unions on the expansion of access to polling units, as well as the ongoing debate on the review of federal constituencies.
In addition to voter access to polling units, the Commission will continue to work with the National Assembly to ensure the speedy passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Let me once again appeal to the National Assembly for expeditious consideration and passage of the bill. In addition, we are also preparing to engage with the leadership of the National Assembly on the issue of division, revision, and alteration of electoral constituencies in Nigeria. The Commission's discussion paper on the matter is being finalized.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the travel ban placed on all passengers into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will be lifted with effect from 6 a.m. Wednesday, 31st of March 2021. Statement from the Office of the Minister of Foreign Affairs adds that with effect from 31st of March, Saudi citizens shall be allowed to travel outside and into the kingdom. A travel ban on international flights would be lifted completely, and land, air and sea entry points shall be opened. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has suspended with immediate effect the operations of Azman Air pending the conduct of an audit of the airline to determine the root causes of series of safety incidents involving its Boeing 737 aircraft. A statement by the Director General of NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu, the agency activated Section 35(2) of the Civil Aviation Act 2006 and Nigeria Civil Aviation Regulations 2015 for its action, and therefore regrets the inconveniences the action may have caused the public, particularly Azman passengers. NCAA insists that the action taken is in their interest and safety of air transportation. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved some reorganizations within the agencies under the Ministry of Aviation. Professor Bako Mansuru Matazu and Captain Modibo Alkali Mahmood now head NIMET and NCAT respectively, while Akin Olateru is reappointed Commissioner and CEO of AID. The Nigerian Television Authority has restated its commitment towards publicizing activities of the Nigerian Institute of Space Engineers to further enhance the growth and development of Nigeria in technology. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that this was when the leadership of the institute paid a courtesy visit to NTA.
This technology has continued to play a significant role by providing services such as remote satellite television, remote sensing and satellite navigation. In Nigeria, the Nigerian Institute of Space Engineers is meeting stakeholders to further consolidate on the gains being achieved in the sector. This visit to NTA is one of such.
We are here mainly to commend the Director General and his management team for switching over to the Nigerian Communication Satellite 1R. And secondly, for his effort in ensuring that the Nigerian Television Authority moves from analog to digital transmission.
Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, says NTA is a major stakeholder in the process of digitization in the country and will, as a content provider, promote space technology, which the authority is also a beneficiary of.
NTA switching over from Intelsat to Nishcomsat. This is something we had to do. We have a satellite company, wholly Nigeria owned, providing the services that other foreign satellite companies provide. So we must come back to basics and, of course, use what is ours. So that was what informed our decision to switch over completely, 100%.
The DG NTA restates the role of scientific research in the growth of every country, saying Nigeria cannot be an exception. In Abuja, Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Let's bring Dotun from our Lagos Network Center on now for some reports. Dotun.
Thank you, Joseph. Governments of the United States and the United Kingdom have pledged to render more support to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in the fight against abuse of illicit substances. Consul General of the United States in Lagos, Claire Prealangelo, and the British Deputy High Commissioner in Nigeria, Ben Llewellyn-Jones, said this while playing host to the agency's chairman, Brigadier General Buba Mara in Lagos. Abalade Salami reports.
The zero-tolerance approach to drug abuse enforced by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has resulted in massive seizures and arrest of suspects. In recognition of the great strides achieved in few months of leadership, the United Kingdom Embassy presented a patrol boat to the agency in furtherance of the marine operations. The British Deputy High Commissioner Jones said the UK government is pleased with the series of illicit drugs seized by NDLEA at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, the Tinkan Seaport and Apapa Seaports.
Hopefully the vessel will allow you more capability, but it's just one aspect of what we're doing together, along with our law enforcement colleagues, the multi-agency approach, and all of the things we've been trying to do, really to try and help Nigeria in this fight against legal crime, which is so important to all of us.
The U.S. Consul General Claire Parangaro said the U.S. government would be willing to collaborate and give more support to the lead anti-drug agency in Nigeria in view of the dynamism and efficiency that have been brought into the operations of the agency. Meanwhile, the chairman on arrival at the Palace of the Oba of Lagos solicited the support of the monarch in the sensitization of individuals on the dangers associated with the drug abuse.
Institution. And when a royal father speaks, people listen. It is with this in mind that I would like to invite His Royal Majesty the Oba of Lagos to add his royal voice on this campaign.
In his response, Oba Akiolu said he would use his global network to impact positively on Nigeria's fight against drug abuse and trafficking.
Nobody in his right senses will go and do what should not be done. It's only under influence of drugs. And many of them, they did not know that it is not good. It's just copycats.
The chairman had earlier paid visits to a rehabilitation center where he urged those present to stay strong. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Stakeholders of Zenith Bank PLC have lauded the ingenuity and dynamism of the board for recording an impressive result in its 2020 financial year. They gave the commendation at the 30th Annual General Meeting held in Lagos. Lynn Leneke reports.
The 2020 financial year of Zenith Bank PLC reflects resilience and doggedness through strategic business focus and a conservative business model of the bank and its leadership. Highlights of the bank's annual report indicates a 5% increase in gross earnings from 662.3 billion naira in 2019 to 696.5 billion naira in 2020. Zenith Bank also increased its non-interest income by 8% from 232.1 billion naira in 2019 to 251.7 billion naira in 2020. Profits after tax moved to 255.9 billion naira, indicating a 5% increase in the financial year under review.
They have good leadership of the board, and they have never gone down on the payment of their dividend.
Is a stock well recommended for shareholders and existing and new shareholders.
Chairman Board of Directors, Zenith Bank PLC, Jim Ovia, said this success is attributable to its robust financial technology and digital solution strategies.
There is enormous value in Zenith, and what we will continue to do is to extract that value. You see a lot of improvement coming from our retail banking initiative. We increase our market share largely, and we've also been able to dig deeper and grind harder in terms of the corporate business.
3 naira dividends per share has been approved by the board for its shareholders. To maintain its sound financial health, management of Zenith Bank says it remains committed to building a more sustainable and inclusive economy in its business operations. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Let's take a break. Network News continues shortly.
Sensodyne Rapid Action Toothpaste for clinically proven rapid relief from sensitivity.
Hey, GoTV don't do am again, no. Then stand by your side, gidigba. Enjoy 32% discount on top GoTV Max. Yes, sir. If you pay GoTV Jolly for only 2,460 naira, now so GoTV go upgrade you sharply to max levels with 75 plus channels. Abracadabra. I go talk am again. When you reconnect on top Jolly subscription for 2,460 naira, then go summer you with Oga of Entertainment, GoTV Max. Make you enjoy Indian series for Star Life, La Liga, Premier League football, Big Brother Naija highlights on Africa Magic, Nigerian Idol, BET, Cartoon Network, and etc. Better discount, better savings. GoTV truly there your side, oh. Existing Max customers as at first March, no follow for this offer, oh. Terms and conditions dey. GoTV, love it.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that's why I talk with that now.
Not for me.
You want to make a die?
Not for me because of Pamio.
NTA Network News. Let's talk business. Headline: inflation increases just as investors in the capital market smile home at the end of trading. Benny Adams takes us through business news tonight. It's all yours, mate.
Thank you, Joseph. And I welcome you to Business with a Fake News Alert. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has reacted to a publication misquoting a recent speech by the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, on the administration of stamp duties in the country. The FIRS, in a statement, said Section 2 of the Stamp Duties Act, as amended by Section 46 of the Finance Act 2020, vested the responsibility of collecting stamp duty in the agency. Therefore, it remains the only federal agency permitted by law to collect stamp duties on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, while NIPOST would henceforth produce the adhesive stamps required by FIRS. Moving on, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, which measures inflation, increased by 17.33% year-on-year in February 2021. This is 0.86 percentage points higher than the rate recorded in January 2021, which was 16.46%. The urban inflation rate increased by 17.92% year-on-year in February 2021 from 17.03% recorded in January 2021, while the rural inflation rate increased by 16.77% in February 2021 from 15.92% in January 2021. The Composite Food Index rose by 21.79% in January 2021 compared to 20.57% in January 2021. Core inflation, which excludes the prices of volatile agricultural produce, stood at 12.38% in February 2021, up by 0.53% when compared with 11.85% recorded in January 2021. The highest increases were recorded in prices of passenger transport by air, medical services, and personal grooming establishment, among others. And on the capital market, investors gain 83.17 billion naira as NSE All-Share Index inches up by 0.41% to close at 38,720.81 basis points as against 0.22% depreciation recorded previously. Market breadth closed negative as Regalings led 11 gainers as against 19 losers. Market turnover closed positive as volume moved up by 19.69% as against 37.23% recorded in previous session. UBA, Access, and M-Benefits were the most active to boost market turnover, just as Dangote Cement and Nestle topped market value list at the end of today's session. That is business news. Joseph, is over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Benny. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, and other Nigerians have received the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, calling on Nigerians to avail themselves the opportunity in the fight against the pandemic. Ruth Aguele compiled the reports from some parts of the country.
The COVID-19 vaccination has been sustained across the country. The Senate President, Ahmad Lawan, is among those who have received the first dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine after Tuesday's plenary. The Senate President advocated for more sensitization on the safety of the vaccine.
We need to reach out to the people. We should convince them. We should use the systems that we have used before in getting our people vaccinated over the years.
In Plateau State, the governor, Simon Lalong, led the campaign by getting vaccinated alongside other officials. Priscilla Gurumnan reports that the governor cautioned the people not to engage in conspiracy theories against taking the vaccine, as it will not be tolerated in the state.
I want to reassure our people that as your governor, I will not subscribe to anything that will harm you nor affect your well-being.
In Nasarawa, Governor Abdullahi Sule also got vaccinated alongside his deputy and other top government officials. Blessing Damfulani reports that the vaccination exercise for Nasarawa West Senatorial District also kicked off as part of efforts to sensitize the people to get vaccinated.
Good, excellent, perfect.
Elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark getting vaccinated. This is in line with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 guideline on giving priority to the elderly on the COVID-19 vaccination, as reported by Timothy Yusuf.
I have to congratulate Mr. President and particularly the PTF, headed by the Secretary of the Government.
As the COVID-19 vaccination continues across the country, Nigerians are urged to take advantage of the exercise. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
And against the concerns being raised in some quarters globally on side effects of Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, Kenneth Nanim in this report interacted with some Nigerians amongst the first set who took the jab. Let's hear their experiences a week after.
AstraZeneca vaccine is one of the vaccines rolled out by the World Health Organization as safe and efficacious in containing spread of COVID-19. As countries begin to administer the vaccine on their citizens, its safety, efficacy, and effectiveness have been trailed by conspiracy theories on its side effects. Some countries, including Netherlands, Norway, and Denmark, have suspended administration of the vaccine due to reports of blood clot in some quarters.
There's the 4121Z005, 4121Z006, 4121Z030. Those are the batches that we receive from Nigeria. So that is completely different from the batch that has been causing problems, the ABV 5300.
Meanwhile, Nancy Urum, a journalist, was among Nigerians who have taken the first dose of the jab. Herself and others, including some members of the PTF who have also taken the jab, shared their experience.
I think I kind of noticed a bit that I was a bit tired. So I don't know whether to attribute it to the vaccine or just the not usual stress.
It's only the place, the portion where I was vaccinated is only where it pains more for a day or two. Then after that, there's no reaction.
I've not had any negative effect.
Yes, there are some people that have complained about adverse effects. This will vary from person to person. And frankly speaking, by the second morning, I have forgotten I took any jab.
The experience has not been anything adverse. I didn't feel anybody pains, didn't feel feverish, didn't feel either some bit of nausea or lack of sleep.
They encouraged Nigerians to make themselves available and get vaccinated and shun all sorts of conspiracy theories on its side effects. Making the rounds globally. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, has apprehended 2 of its staff for allegedly defrauding Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME candidates with the promise to help them secure admission, Olayinka Ojo reports.
Named and shamed, now it is only regrets for Andy Okoro, a Level 12 officer in Delta State Office of JAM, and Gambo Ibrahim Abba, a Level 8 officer at JAM headquarters Abuja. The 2 were said to have collected the sum of 500,000 naira from parents of 4 candidates with a promise to get admission for their children.
In reality, I gave money to somebody in the admission department this morning and got me completely into this mess. So I'm so sorry.
They both ran out of luck when one of the parents petitioned JAM on Okoro's activities, a move that prompted the board to investigate.
Anybody who does that will, of course,
will be detected. And once that is detected, they will be sanctioned.
Similarly, a tutorial center operator at One Man Village in Nasarawa State, Bayo Olajide, was caught for collecting 6,500 naira registration fees from would-be UTME candidates, even when JAMB was yet to commence sales of form for the 2021 exercise.
Look for students that they come around that they want to do a session that we normally tell them that they should come for the lesson. Then when the session commences, we register them.
JAMB's head of public affairs, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, advised parents to desist from cutting corners as there is no shortcut to success. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Let's take a short break now.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
And that's the news. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I'm Joseph Johnson. Remember to connect with the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. Good night.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire.
Teacher no more. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no more. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for Las Gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. We are trying, Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that is why I talk with that now.
Now they not for me.
You want make I die?
Not for me because of Pamio.
Life is a game. We are cool. We are trendy. Energy moves us. Sports is our game, our oxygen. Because with the round leather, we ball. We hustle. All over the land, north and south, we are united in the positive glory. We are encapsulated by HIFL. We live for the game. It's game time. Showing on NTA Network every Saturday at 4:30 p.m.
Nigeria as a country had a centenary celebration in 2014 and has been united in independence for 60 years. A long time, you will agree. You will also concur that one of the pride of being a citizen is the colors of the nation, which exhibit the cultures and traditions of the country and also displayed proudly at every opportunity. The blend, a tourist delight. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of Dateline 360. I am Omotola Omojola. I'll urge you to stick with us for the next 30 minutes as we carefully project more of this country you love and call home. The strength of Nigeria as displayed in brotherliness and peaceful coexistence, some spanning over centuries, is our focus today. An amalgam of diverse ethnic and religious nationalities, the geographic mapping known as Nigeria today was unified in 1914 by Britain. Though several events have challenged the amalgamation, Nigeria as a country continues to wax strong. Developing ties across regions, backed by conscious efforts by governments to provide inclusion for citizens in all spheres of the country's nationhood. Abdullahi Ajia examines efforts over time to strengthen the nation as one and the gains on the global scene.
Nigeria is largely considered a developing nation by analysts who have identified nation building at the heart of efforts to rapidly develop the country, regardless of ethnic peculiarities and religious ideologies. It is believed that if properly harnessed, Nigeria's diversity would foster rapid socio-economic development. Nigeria has gone through thick and thin in its quest for nationhood and has continued to weather the storm of conspiracies and naysayers to remain one nation bound in freedom, with much sacrifices made for its peace and unity.
We as a country and as people from 1960 to date, we have achieved a lot. No country that has fought a civil war that still remain as Nigerian remain intact today. It's a great achievement that we could integrate after the war.
Successive governments of both the military and civilians created a number of enduring policies and institutions to unite the country. The creation of states, the National Youth Service Corps, federal character, unity schools, sports festival, intertribal and religious marriages suffice to mention to bring about healing, understanding, and accommodation of one another. The gains of these efforts manifest in the manpower output of Nigerians contributing immensely in the global stage, as the I-can-do spirit of Nigerians has seen them excelling in different spheres of professional fields of human endeavors through uncommon hard work, which has left indelible mark in the financial world and leadership positions of international organizations. However, observers emphasized a need for more orientation and advocacy in strengthening national integration, for more bond of cohesion to drive patriotic commitment among the citizenry and raise the level of awareness towards forging a common front. Adding that the country will overcome its face of challenges with the hope that a new Nigeria will be birthed. Now, the country's diversity is one area socio-political commentators believe is yet to be properly harnessed, and when harnessed, they said, is going to add to the progress and growth of the country. Abdullahi Ajia, reporting for Dateline 360.
Blessed with both human and natural resources, Adamawa can arguably be referred to as home of cultures. And this rich cultural heritage, coupled with its peaceful disposition, has attracted settlers from different parts of the country. Rayanu Bala tells us about how this works in development for both the state and the country.
In Adamawa State, there are over 87 tribes, and the strength of the state lies with its diversities. Even with different tradition, norms, and cultural backgrounds, the unity and hospitable disposition of the people attracted other ethnic nationalities to the state.
That we've come a long way as a nation, good enough for us to tour the path of trying to unite and make the nation to be one, than to begin to look at how we're going to divide it on something else. I believe it's going to be more difficult to dismember, disfigure, disorganize, and put Nigeria into pieces than it would be to keep the nation as one. The strength of a nation in diversity is supposed to be, the dream of Nigeria itself. I believe in it. I know that our diversity has given us quite a number of things. Our multiplurality, the content of our social ability to be a people have been good enough, and we've explored quite a number of those things. The riches of our culture, what it takes for individuals actually to belong and to do that which is right. I want to think that we've actually benefited from that than any nation in the entirety of the whole world put together.
When Nigeria was created, it was an act of God that we will have south and north, so many tribes and there. It wasn't a mistake. It was God's act, and as such, we're supposed to blend ourselves.
As Nigeria, we made it to be one.
And we pray Almighty to allow it to continue to be one.
The settlers say they are home in Adamawa State.
Almighty Father brought me here in 1965. And since then I've been here. If I'm not enjoying my stay here, I could have run. Likewise, others that in other states of Nigeria. If they are not enjoying their stay, the stay I will stay with in which where they are, they could have run and leave the place.
I've spent more than 30 years in this state. I enjoy staying here very much. I grew up here, I schooled here, I worked here, and I earn my living. This is my state. I can't run away from it. I contributed my quota.
Rayanu Bala reporting for Deadline 360.
Let's move down southeast specifically, and share in the history of some settlers in a semi-urban settlement of Onitsha. Blessing Ayawu, who visited the people, takes the lead.
This is the section of the popular Onitsha main market, precisely Sokoto Bida Road. One unique feature about this settlement is that the residents, who are from different social, cultural and religious backgrounds, have been coexisting peacefully for decades. 70-year-old Iliasu Jushao, a native of Kano State, is one out of many settlers born, raised and speak Igbo language fluently. His parents settled in Sokoto Bida Road, Onitsha, as traders in 1890. He took over his parents' business and now a proud landlord.
I'm an indigenous of this area because my parents came Fabian Onitsha since 1890. Anyị niile bụ ofu, Chineke kele anyị. Onyela anyị different language. Onyekwa anyị different religion, but ofu Chukwu ka anyị na-ekpe. So Nigeria, I suppose, it in unity.
Etu anyị ra wee nọla ebe a, anyị chani anyị ebe a ka amụrụ anyị. Our grandfather bịara abịa, mana anyị nwa bụ ndị amụrụ ebe a. Anyị nwa n'onwe anyị tokwa n'ebe a, jee primary school ebe a, jee secondary school ebe a.
Mfuko onye Igbo ma mma ebido ezigbo omume. Ọ bịakwute m, sị m na ọ like m ga-anụkwa ya.
For the natives, the relationship is beyond that of a brother.
I'm tenant to Sariki, the Eze of Hausa people in Onitsha. I've been here for more than 8 years now.
Onitsha has had this cultural history of attracting migrants who have over the years lived. In fact, we had what you call the Nupe settlements, the Sokoto settlements, the Tif settlements. There were a lot of small settlements around the town.
Quite a good number of the northerners married from the Igbo land, and Igbos also married from their place. So it's been very, very cordial, more especially long before the war and after the war. The relationship has been very, very cordial.
The saying that there is strength in unity has no doubt come to play in many settlements, but for some security challenges in the recent times, orchestrated by hoodlums. They therefore called on relevant agencies for urgent redress to stem the tide. Blessing Ayaun, Deadline 360.
From Benin, Paul Omukago tells us about how Nigerians of different divides have been living together in Benin City for over a century on the strength of peaceful coexistence.
Lagos Street is one of many areas that have huge presence of northerners in Benin. The Sariki Hausa, who was born here, is the traditional administrator and link between the settlers and their hosts. The history of the people and this environment revolve around trade, commerce, socio-economic and cultural activities. From area where northerners trade in livestock to Lagos Street, where grains, onions, and other farm produce are openly sold, the story is not different. Northerners have lived here for over 200 years.
When we were growing up, especially here in Benin, you could hardly tell this person is from this part of this country or from that part of the country. I was born in Benin, like you rightly said, grew up in Benin. I learned my language in Benin. I didn't have to go back to the north to begin to understand my language.
We have wahala there, food not there that place. There is peace before food go there. So don't they tell you trouble baker. If you try our own best to pass, we can be reporting to the authority, to police.
We should strongly stand. If a northerner do something bad, let all Nigeria tell Nigeria that this man did bad. If a southerner did something bad, no matter the religion, no matter the language, let everybody stand and say, what this man did is bad.
My chef married Benin woman, and is born for me. And many of our people marry Benin women.
They treat strangers well equally with the Beninese.
Peaceful coexistence, tolerance, accepting and adapting to the culture, tradition, customs, values, and norms of the Beninese are some reasons why Northerners thrive in this part of the country.
God forbid bad thing. Clashes now, if it occur now, we cannot fight people like this. Whoever they say is their own, we cannot fight them because they are part of our own family.
Edo people are very liberal people. They are very accommodating, very friendly, very receptive, and they welcome everybody. That is why you come to Edo State today, Benin in particular. They have non-native have houses and business centers, empires here.
For Dateline 360, Paul Omukago.
We now take a trip back to northwestern Nigeria, where Sadiya Abubakar Tunau in Zamfara State reports that intertribal marriage is a booster for the age-long peaceful coexistence between different ethnic groups in the state. This, she says, is strengthening cohesion and cultural interaction between and among the diverse ethnic nationalities.
Zamfara State is predominantly a Hausa Fulani state, but has for many decades been accommodating several other tribes from different parts of the country who have been living peacefully with their host communities. Gusau, being the state capital, is occupied by various ethnic groups that continue to interact with one another as leaders always preach tolerance, understanding, and unity among the people. Being part of the community and the ability to carry out their various activities without discrimination is what influenced these groups to settle here. Who and who they buy for you?
Hausa, Igbo, different people. I have different customers.
Sarkin Yarban Zamfara and Chairman Resident Communities Abdurazak Shobanke, whose ancestors have been in Zamfara for about 300 years, said it was the railway back then that led most of the ethnic groups to settle here.
Workers from Lagos, they come to up to Kaurana Moda and all this. So they now settle down and have, families and expanded, and that was how the whole settlement was.
Cordial relationship, peaceful coexistence, respect for each other's culture and tradition, as well as religious tolerance have led to marriages between tribes.
The marriage of a thing it makes more cordial relationship within the ethnic groups of our people here in Nigeria. Because once you are married, an Hausa man married a Yoruba man, it accords more respect and more dignity to everything you do.
My husband, Engineer Sani Amani, he's a native of Gusau town. I was surprised when he said, I want to eat akpu. I want to eat bitter leaf soup. I want to eat, even to the extent that he said, I want to eat isieu, of which I don't even know how to prepare.
Abdurazak Shobanke, who has been on the throne for 20 years now, also spoke on the population of these groups in Zamfara.
Aside from the host community, the next highly populated community in Zamfara here is the Yorubas, followed by the Igbos. We are even more than the Igbos. And anywhere you go in Nigeria, any village you go, if you don't say Yoruba man or Igbo man, you better run away. Because two of us, those two tribes, there is no how, no length and breadth of the country that we don't have our people.
The relationship between all tribes in this emirate is very cordial. We are always doing things together. Just 2 days ago, even today, a lot of them came for a wedding ceremony.
Most of these settlers have lived all their lives in Zamfara and therefore consider the state as their home.
I was born in the north and I've been here for the past 6 decades.
I was born, bred, and brought up in Zamfara State. My parents originated from Anambra State. And all my life, I know no other town except Gusau.
Sadia Abubakar Tuno, reporting for Deadline 360.
Now, there are so many testaments that Nigeria's strength lies in our diversity. And as intertribal marriage unites in the north, so is it in the south, the east, and the west. Femi Afariogun tells us about how some northerners have found home in the southwestern part of the country.
A Yoruba adage fluently delivered, hardly will you know he's not a Yoruba man until he mentions his name and state of origin. 53-year-old Mohammed Hussein, an indigene of Katsina, was born in Ogun State and raised in Osun, all in the southwestern part of Nigeria.
I even enjoyed the free education of Baba Femi.
Hussein and many other northerners who reside in some part of Olonda local government area of Osun State travel to their ancestral home once in a while and oftentimes converge on the residence of Seriki Awusa in Osun State to fraternize. Loved by their host, the Yorubas, there had been intermarriages to solidify the trust for one another.
My own which I married at Osogbo here. He born like 3 children for me, and so no problem, no anything between us. We are there, we are moving together, doing everything together.
We have been living together peacefully for quite a long time. It's 100% perfect. They are nice people. There must be a conflict of interest, but we should be able to manage ourselves. We should encourage ourselves. We should be our brother's keepers. Hardly will you find any business area in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, without you seeing a northerner setting up one business or the other. They are not only sticking with this business, but they are learning the style of living of the Yoruba people too.
My brother, late Chaibu Gomina, is Babalaji of Osogbo land and the Ashipa of Oba. And he is Alaranche of Adini.
Eating all the Yoruba food. I'm eating amala and obe bagri. I want us to live in peacefully, to know that we are all one Nigerians. So without living with peaceful, there is not anything progress.
So within ourselves, can Yorubas manage themselves? If you cannot manage what to read, can Hausa to manage themselves if they cannot read another tribe?
Despite promising not to forget his ancestral home, Hussein wants people fanning ember of discard to stop so that his generations to come will enjoy what he is enjoying now in the land of his sojourn in Osogbo. Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Where Niger meets Benue in topography and human collection, Kogi State is made up of a mix of different ethnic groups itself. And its capital, Lokoja, is a convergence of diverse cultures and religion harmonized by common need to cohabit as one people. Abdusalam Muhammad brings us the Kogi experience in the beauty of Nigeria's diversity.
From 1870 to date, Lokoja, a town established to serve the commercial interests of the British, as at then, attracted people from different parts of the country, and up till now, they coexist peacefully.
Patience and perseverance. That's why we are settled peacefully without having any fracas or fiasco.
There is tolerance, there is a kind of understanding, like I've said. I think that is basically the reason for the non-presence of intercommunal clashes and conflicts.
Benefited from the Nigerian project because I enjoy the freedom of movement. I enjoy the freedom of residence. I enjoy the freedom of interaction. So I have friends across the country.
Lokoja in Kogi State is an example of a unique assimilation of multi-ethnic cultures united by the town, historical and political past. Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, Igalas, Ibira, all settling in a communal living with diversities that have become more like a burden for a true Nigerian identity.
We have to recognize that it is God that is the owner of everything and everybody. And that is where our focus will always be.
The fact that you can speak several languages is a thing of joy. The fact that you can eat any food from many cultures, it enriches you. The fact that you can marry a girl from another ethnic group and that girl will give you children. And the children that are product of intermarriage are usually highly sociable.
From the colonial era to date, the people coexist peacefully despite the religious differences, carrying out their trade unhindered and without molestation. Many believe that this can be emulated in other parts of Nigeria for the sustenance of peaceful coexistence. Abdusalam Muhammad for Deadline 360.
And that report by Abdusalam concludes this edition of the program. Next week is another date. Do join us. My name is Omotala Omojola, and on behalf of the production crew, I say thank you for your time.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday Live. Today we beam our searchlight on the cotton and textile industry and how it greatly impacts on the Nigerian pre-colonial and post-independence economy and the renewed drive to revive one of the nation's booming industry. My name is Omini Udan. Nigeria in the 70s, 80s and 90s unarguably had one of the largest textile industry in Africa, with over 180 textile mills functioning optimally and contributing about 25% of the total strength of workforce. The cotton, textile and garment subsector was also the largest employer of labor after the public sector, supported by the production of cotton by over 600,000 farmers across the country. Now in northern Nigeria, where raw materials and commercial hubs are located, with more than 10 flourishing textile companies that were operating optimally, providing about 500,000 direct jobs in the cotton value chain. Today, the cotton, textile and garment sector is moribund, as almost all the companies have folded up. Dinners that were established to process cotton for the textile industries also provide skeletal services, with thousands losing their jobs, with diversion of farmers' interest to production of other cash and food crops. Policy frameworks, negligence and corruption plunged the industry into monumental loss and suffered setbacks, while countries like China and India blossomed, using their processed cotton materials to compete favorably in the global market, thereby compelling Nigeria to import finished products worth more than $4 billion annually. But there is good news, as the federal government is intensifying efforts towards reviving the sector across the country. The Apex Bank under the Buhari-led administration approved a loan of 19.18 billion naira to 9 cotton producing firms, disbursed at a single-digit interest rate. The sector also received a boost under the Obasanjo administration. Efforts were also to revamp the ailing sector. Apart from providing financial support, government is also sponsoring research on high-yielding variety of cotton seeds that are drought, pest and disease resistant. Tonight on the program, we shall introspect into the past and project into the future as the stakeholders gather to address salient questions. But first, let's take this background report by Musa Baba Aliu.
This is how cotton plants look like. It produces balls at its maturing stage, which will later burst to bring out soft tissue fiber. Nigerian farmers have been planting the cash crop since 1903, largely in the Savannah Belt, consisting states in the northern and southwestern parts of the country.
It is the one that employs the largest number of youths in the country and creates the longest value chain, very sustainable value chain. And it is only in this country that you can allow this thing to happen, because we have the largest market of textile in the whole of the world.
In recent times, however, there is the fear that cotton in Nigeria will extinct, as farmers have lost interest in its cultivation. This is due to high cost of production caused by insect infestation, low yield, coupled with issues relating to demand and supply.
We have about 54, and honestly speaking, just about 10, 12 that are functionally working now.
And why the remaining ones are not working?
Because of lack of the material to process.
The federal government's policy towards reviving textile industries challenged the country's scientists on the need to produce a high-yielding variety of cotton seeds that are easy to manage and are pest-resistant.
A technology that will address the root cause of abandoning beating, of abandoning cotton production in Nigeria, revamp it, and also lower the cost of the production to farmers.
Consequently, a new variety has been identified, which has undergone series of field and lab trials and are judged among the best in the world.
This crop is producing about 200 balls per plant. as against our existing crop that is producing less than 50 balls.
The Central Bank of Nigeria had already incorporated 100,000 farmers into her Anchor Borrowers program, with 190 billion naira set aside to support textile, lint, and garment industrialists.
Which we seek to undertake in the cotton, textile, and garment sector beginning from today is holistic and it encompasses every node of the value chain. The National Committee on Revamping the Cotton, Textile, and Garment Sector, which includes the CBN, the Federal Ministries of Agric and Rural Development, Water Resources, Industry, Trade and Investment, and the governments of Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Gombe, and Zamfara states has been constituted to drive the initiative to achieve self-sufficiency in cotton production and textile material within a span of 3 years. We intend to improve the linkage between cotton farmers and ginneries by ensuring that ginneries are able to offtake the high-quality cotton produced by these farmers.
Nigeria used to be a major textile producer in Africa and one of the best in the world. The industries, however, collapsed in the 90s when foreign fabrics took over market to the detriment of local manufacturers.
Cotton farming and revival of the textile industry in Nigeria is the focus of the program tonight. Musa Baba Aliu's background report sets the tone for the takeoff of the program tonight. It's Tuesday Live, and at some point, our phone lines will be open and the phone number will be displayed on the screen. Please, if we're true to you, turn down the volume of your television set in making your contributions, and please don't rigmarole, go straight to the point and make your contributions. Also tonight, you can be part of the conversation through our Twitter handle at Tuesday Live NTA. Well, we're good to go tonight. I'm being joined by President, National Cotton Association of Nigeria, Anibe Achimogo. Welcome to Tuesday Live tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Rose Gidado, Coordinator, Open Forum on Agriculture, Biotech in Nigeria, researcher and producers of BT Cotton in Nigeria. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Oden.
Also tonight, we're being joined by Adewale Bakare, Director, Industrial Development, Federal Minister of Industries, Trade and Investment. Good to see you on the program tonight.
Let me just...
And thank you for having me.
We have Felix Egbamunu. Felix Egbamunu is textile industrialist and chairman, Femro Mill Lagos. Welcome to Tuesday Live.
Viewers, thank you for having me.
On Network Center, we have Salmanu Abdullahi, President, Cotton Ginners Association of Nigeria. He's joining us from our Kaduna Network Center. Good to see you on the program tonight. Good to see you on the program tonight. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, let's begin. We heard from the opening, so much happened, but we want to launch forward. It's about cotton farming and revival of the textile industry in Nigeria. Huge investments have been put in even before now. Let me begin with you, Anibe. How is the situation like currently?
Thank you. The situation currently, I must say, is on the up. And when I say that, I remember that in 2018, as Cotton Association, when we were trying to be recognized to participate under the Anchor Borrowers program, we were just about 67,000 farmers membership. And I think the country at that time was only producing about 80,000 metric tons of seed cotton. But I'm happy to say that in 2019, when the CBN, through the government obviously, took the decision to look into cotton and to revive cotton industry, they now approached us and we joined the program in 2019. In 2019, we were able to produce approximately about 125,000 metric tons of seed cotton. We had about 151,000 farmers that were ready to farm, but of course, at the end of the day, I think about only 90,000 ended up farming because of missing the planting window and the arrangements we had to make. So we missed a significant number participating. And in 2020, in spite of the COVID-19 challenges, where we couldn't actually even go into the CBN and sit with them to plan properly, they still took the bold step to say, look, we can't create a gap. We've started. Let's continue. We were able to engage about 121,000 farmers and with a projection of about 136,000 metric tons seed cotton production. But of course, in 2020 had a lot of challenges, like I said, with COVID-19. We had flash floods, we had drought, insecurity is one thing. So about 90,000 again plus farmers were able to establish their farms. So, and as we speak, we are still harvesting. And I know that if you heard in the report, where you had only about 9 gineries, in 2019. Today we are talking about 24 gineries, at least, that are ready, to participate and continue to push and join hands to make sure that the CTG sector is revived. Added to that, I think what the smart thing that CBN did also was not just to provide input financing to cotton farmers, but they said, look, it has to be a value chain approach. And with that, it means that as they supported the farmers to farm, they also supported the giners to offtake from the farmers, supported textile mills to also offtake from the giners and the garment people. Then they tied in the uniform services with an agreement to source their fabrics from locally produced cotton. So that's where we are at the moment. Of course, even the association where we were before and where we are today, where, for instance, we've been able to provide 234 plus extension agents, which is a major problem anyway for farming generally, not just cotton, where to support the farmers, we sourced good seed, planting material for them. Every single input as recommended by the Institute of Agricultural Research, who have the mandate, obviously, for cotton development in Nigeria, was provided for the farmer. On that, for instance, fertilizer, we were able to give in 2019 7 bags per hectare to a farmer, where a farmer on his own or his own will only be able to provide maybe 3 bags. So improvement in yields, all that has happened and is going on.
Thank you so much, President. Now, Dr. Gidado, from what the President has said, cotton has multifarious uses, given the fact that it has comfort and also provides thousands of useful products.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, from what he has said, you are of the Open Forum on Agriculture, Biotech. Given what he has said, it means you're on track?
Yeah, of course, it means we're on track. But let me just make correction. At your introduction, you said the Open Forum are the producers and researchers of cotton. The Open Forum on Agri-Biotech in Africa and Nigeria chapter is an African initiative. It's actually set up as a platform where all and sundry will come under to correct misconceptions about this technology that brought about the BT cotton. The technology is highly stigmatized. A lot of negative information. Once you go to the internet, what comes up is not even the beneficial information, but negative information about it. Okay. But it's a very useful technology. So the producers are actually, yes, I know. From what the producers are Institute for Agricultural Research, Zaria, IER, that has the mandate for cotton, and then they work in collaboration with Mahiko Agriculture Nigeria Limited, and then National Biotech Development Agency that has the mandate for biotech, and OFAB is hosted by National Biotech Development Agency. Okay. So that by the side.
Thank you for that.
So what Mr. President has said, we're actually right on track. farmers have been given the BT cotton last year. I think last year was commercialization. In 2019, they actually were given to carry out demonstration trials on their fields. You know, the farmer is a practical person. Before he takes a new seed, he has to see that that seed is working and is better than his own. He is very practical. So, and that's why we always say that science is evidence-based. That's it. It's not just, you know, it's not just, I mean, any other thing that people think of a word. They say all rubbish about it. It tells you the truth. It is evidence-based. It's a collection of facts. We work with facts. We work with scientific facts. So the farmers tried them, and they saw that they got very, you know, excited about it because the yields they experienced, the yield, I mean, the increase in yield, they had, some of them were having 4 tons per hectare, 5 tons per hectare, while the conventional, the local cotton, will give you either 950 kg, I think 950, not up to one, yes. About that, 950 kg, you know, that's the highest they could get, you know, on a well-managed farm. But with this, if you manage your farm, the potential yield is 4.1, 4 to 4.1, but when you manage your farm so well, and that's, you could get up to 5 tons. Because farmers in Adamawa State, I visited the Adamawa State, it's my state, and I interacted with them, and I saw how happy they were. I attended one of the farmers' field days.
Okay, let me just
and
hold
that was
there.
my highest point
let me just hold it there.
Yes.
The question now is, from what you've said,
yes,
how sustainable is what you're doing? We'll come back to that.
All right.
Let me go quickly to Kaduna, where Salmanu Abdullah is joining us from, before I come back to Abuja. He's the President, Cotton Ginners Association of Nigeria. Mr. President, from the testimony at the opening by the President of the National Cotton Association gave, what is the situation like currently with what you're doing within the cotton value chain? What's the update? What's the update?
Well, I have heard what the President of National Cotton Association has said, and also the contribution of Dr. Rose Grad. Well, I will start by saying or talking on the seed that is being used now, a little bit used, I would say, by some of the farmers. I don't think any farmer has assessed Mehako seed free of charge. Our association bought the seed, or some of us bought the seed and distributed to our outgrowers to plant. That was the first year. The second year became like an advertisement because of the experience of the farmers that used the Mehako seed. Majority were able to get a minimum of 3 tons per hectare, and also some with good management, they are able to achieve 4 to almost 5 tons per hectare. That enticed the actual cotton growing farmers, because they are traditional cotton growers. They bought the seed, even though a little bit at a higher price, but they are happy. And the fillers who are getting this year, come June, the farmers are ready to buy at whatever price. And we are already negotiating with the Mehako managers to make sure that they order the seed, because the demand will be reasonably high. In addition, a farmer is able to get at least 4 tons per hectare. And with the improved price of the product, that's the cotton, I don't think there is any agricultural commodity that is produced today that gives the farmer better income than cotton. The competing crop of cotton has been soya beans and maize. Even with improved prices of both crops, they cannot match cotton today. With 4 tons of cotton, a farmer can fetch close to 1 million. So, it's a very good income. He'll be able to do a lot to himself and his family. So we foresee a situation whereby next coming season, 21-22, the generators will be fully in operation. I mean those that are operational would be fully in operation. The intervention of CBN as regards to Anchor borrowing scheme is a good one, but is left with a lot of lapses and room for some reversal and amendments. You see, cotton is like all other crops. The time for planting of cotton is very, very essential. I think at several forums we alert CBN regarding to the input supplies to the interested farmers. If you don't meet that deadline, too bad, you lose, because some farmers cannot even plant because of the rain situations. Some farms will get rain today, some farms no. But if you are able to plant in good time, all seed, all inputs must be supplied to the farmer before at least the beginning of June. So which means April, May, the farmer should have his seed, his fertilizer under his bed, so that immediately the rain sets in June, he start planting. As I said, or as we have been talking, there are over 52 generators in Nigeria. And today, only less than 10% are in operation, partial operation, I would say, because some could not even process anything because the cotton is not available. The same thing with the textiles. They have tremendous problems, I would say, the domestic textiles. If not revived as soon as possible, well, they can hardly take up to 10% of the cotton production. We thank God that Nigerian cotton is generally liked by the international spinners because the quality is good, white, and the staple length and strength is also palatable to the international spinners to process. Nigerian cotton, as we all know, is equal to Arizona cotton in America, and that is why it's generally liked Nigerian cotton has no honeydews at all, and is rain-fed, natural rain-fed. We don't go into irrigation that color the cotton to brownish. So we are hoping, and we continue to hope, and we hope the people concerned, the government, will actually listen to our advices, make use of the research institutes. IAR, for example, they are doing tremendous addition, but they are not fully being funded. So we'll continue to labor to give advices as is necessary. I understand the CBN is trying to co-opt the genus to produce cotton for them to process enough cotton for each generation to proceed to plant or through its outgrowth, get enough cotton that will lead it to produce, to process. And if we are able to achieve this under one condition, we are ready to participate, but provided inputs and every assistance meant for the farmer is done in good time. We'll also be able to assist the textiles.
Let's hold it there for now. We'll come back to you, Abdullah. You have given us a good opening thoughts there. Now, from the testimonies Salmanu has given, let's go to Felix Agbamuno. Felix Agbamuno is a textile industrialist and chairman, Femro Mills, Lagos. Felix, from the testimony from Kaduna, you are on the value chain, value addition chain of the value chain of cotton in Nigeria. He has raised a couple of issues. If what they are producing, the textile industries are not enough to offtake, it therefore means their products amounts to not. However, the international market is open because of the quality of cotton in Nigeria. So how is it like within the textile industry? Are we up to speed? Are we building up to offtake what is being produced by the ginneries to spin?
Thank you very much. It is true that there is a little bit of a gap, in the value chain. We don't have enough spinning mills, and we are working towards improving capacity for spinning. But along that value chain, when the yarn is produced, we have a capacity in knitting and weaving to be able to consume a great deal of the yarn, cotton yarn produced. And luckily for us, there is, in line with the Government Executive Order 003, we in the Nigerian Textile Manufacturer Association, we have signed MOU with the military and the uniform agencies so that they can now produce their uniforms in Nigeria. Before now, Chinese textile factories have been expanding at Nigerian expense, with our military and paramilitary agencies importing uniform from China. But now that the Executive Order 003 is there, and with the effort the CBN made in ensuring that this MOU is signed, we foresee a situation where a lot of foreign exchange will be saved by the country, and our uniforms will be produced locally. Many of us have applied to, like the Army Ordinance, we got approval, our samples have been approved, and we are looking forward to producing our uniforms locally. That little gap or spinning, we are making effort to fill that particular gap. More capacity will be built in a very short time so that the links coming out of the gineries can be consumed, can be taken by the mills. But for capacity, for weaving and knitting, that capacity is there. And the garmenting companies are also very many, ready to take up the fabric produced for uniforms, school uniforms, and fashion wears, and so on and so forth. We are very sure that the quality that we are getting is reasonable. Most of our quality meet international standard. Thank you.
Let's quickly go to Adewale Bakare, Director, Industrial Development, Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. From what has played out so far, we don't want to go back to what it used to be. You now ask, with what is on the floor, both from those on the planting stage or to the value chain, sustainability is key here. If what is on the ground by government is sustained, what's your projection, maybe in the next 1 or 2 years?
Let me start by making reference to your prologue, which I will term as the rise and fall of the cotton textile industry in Nigeria. When that happened, about 5-6 years ago, government, in conjunction with the stakeholders, both in the private and the public sector, took a critical look at the sector and came up with what we call the Cotton, Textile and Garment Policy. That policy tried to address the entire value chain from the cotton, textiles to garments. And the aim of the policy, which to your question, is to ensure sustainability in this particular industry. The aspirations of this policy, number one, is to deepen the value chain in the entire cotton, textile and garment industry. Number two is to increase domestic market share of the industry to the Nigerian economy. And number three, which is very critical, is to create jobs for our teeming youth from the cotton subsector to the textiles to the garments. And over time, this policy is one of the things that endear our vibrant Central Bank of Nigeria to inject funds into this particular industry. The strategic thrust of the policy, as I stated, is to boost production of cotton for both the domestic use and export. Number two is to support the existing players in the textiles industry to retool and expand, and also to attract new investment in all these value chains, the cotton, textiles, and garments. This policy, as the stakeholders we attest to it, has been on the ground for about 5 years now, and we commend a reassessment and review of this policy in 2019. But because of the pandemic in 2020, we couldn't conclude it. And we are striving in the next 3 or so months to try to conclude the review of this policy. That is to assess it. How far has it taken us in this particular industry? And what do we need to do to deepen the entire value chain in the industry? Let me point out quickly that prior to the emergence of that policy, all these subsectors are existing in isolation: the cotton, the textiles, and the garments. And one big achievement the policy did was to emphasize the need for this value chain to be together. And that, over time, has been a big success for the policy. And we are looking forward to its revision in the next 3 to 4 months, as I said, and which we are very much aware we ensure and guarantee the sustainability of the industry. My colleague, Mr. Felix, did mention about the EO3, which is going to be embedded into this particular policy, which has guarantee offtake of whatever fabrics that is produced by the textiles industry from all the federal government agencies, military and paramilitary, as well as the federal government schools. So far so good in respect of sustainability, of ensuring that whatever measures, whatever intervention, whatever investment government and the stakeholders have put into this industry are sustained over a period of time.
Bakare, and when we come back, we have a couple of reports. We shall be looking at if the timelines are followed in terms of timing for provision of input for farmers to take off on time, like Abdullahi from Kaduna said, and also if research efforts are properly funded, where will the cotton industry be and indeed the textile industry be in Nigeria? But after this couple of reports, beginning with the report from Lagos.
Nigeria once occupied the front seat of the textile industry in Africa, with over 180 textile mills functioning optimally and a labor force of more than 450,000. The booming industry at the time made huge financial impact on the nation's economy and reflected significantly on the gross domestic product. A few years down the line, things began to fall apart as textile values suffered a massive fall, consequently leaving a handful of factories running. Data shows that just 25% mills survived the hit. Local production of cotton fabrics became unattractive due to a combination of factors largely related to preference for cheaper imported brands. In a bid to revive the cotton and textile sector, the Central Bank of Nigeria approved a loan of 19.18 billion naira for 9 cotton-producing firms, disbursed at a single-digit interest rate. This led to the survival of some mainstream operations, thereby enhancing job creation.
Already the cotton production had empowered about 100,000 farmers, and also it has revived the geniuses, and those geniuses are also employer of labor. So they increase their employment generation and consequently increase their profitability. And today the contribution to GDP in this sector is great. I don't have the statistic, but I know it has increased from the level that it was before.
As a responsive government that prioritizes the use of domestic products, it directed all ministries, departments, and agencies to give preference to local content in the procurement of goods and services. And this prompted Central Bank of Nigeria collaboration with uniformed agencies in the Southwest, thereby contributing largely to economic growth.
The effort of the CBN under the 5-year policy thrust in context of development financing program is to boost productivity through production of improved seedlings, access to finance for rural farmers. We've seen the result. The other part of the leg now is reviving the textile. And since we have them all over the country, it means that if you revive them, the immediate vicinity, the immediate area where they are, will be able to provide jobs.
While the Central Bank of Nigeria loan initiative has helped revamp the industry, stakeholders applauded the federal government's policy on economic recovery growth plan.
Reaction there from Lagos. Let's proceed now to Kaduna for the next report.
The first textile industry in Nigeria, which was constructed in the year 1957 by Northern Nigerian government officials in collaboration with a British textile firm, Whitehead and Sons. Kaduna stood out as a textile hub in northern Nigeria in the 70s and 80s. But all that came crumbling in the late 90s, leaving the city with ghost structures which were once the pride of the city. All hope is not lost as entrepreneurs like Mohan Yadav say the industry will bounce back with the right environment.
Nigeria is the most thickly populated. So we have tremendous opportunities for textile to grow. Government, if they will improve power supply, they will restrict the importation, and all those things, if they will continue to take steps, so it can improve.
Once the textile machines begin to wax, the thread cotton growers will have a ready-made market and their farms will blossom.
We have the capacity, we have the resources, we have the land to produce the cotton. And indeed, it has been ascertained that the cotton produced in Nigeria is the best type of cotton compared even that one produced in Egypt, because Egypt and Nigeria are the one that produce the best cotton in all over the world.
In the 1970s and early 1980s, Nigeria was home of Africa's largest textile industry with more than 180 textile mills employing over 300,000 people.
Thanks so much. The report from Kaduna takes us back to the discussion. A couple of minutes, we'll be taking some calls, and our Twitter handle is open. Once again, it's at Tuesday Live NTA. Well, let's go back to the president of the National President of the Cotton Association of Nigeria. Abdullahi from Kaduna raised a lot of issues which, if we get right, we can get a couple of things right. He talked about timing of the planting season.
Yes.
And cotton is like every other crop. And he said, if by April, May, all the farmers have inputs to take off, then it's as good as saying the spinners, if they are not enough, then the cotton produce will be wasted. Although prospect for export, because the quality of Nigerian cotton is there. Yeah. So what are you doing to take care of this?
Well, I mean, the logistics, the sheer logistics of trying to cater to 100,000 farmers cut across 28 states is not a joke. We have tried, along with CBN, to try and meet, whether we like it or not, we have to follow some certain criteria for qualification. We have to identify the farmers. We have to actually go and see their farmlands where they are. We have to map, because we're also trying to digitize every aspect, the data of the farmers and so on and so forth. It does take time. Then you now have to place orders for your inputs and so on and so forth. And they have to be distributed across the country as well. Like I said, last year was quite difficult, but quite impressive as well, because there are cases where even input suppliers that were engaged had their trucks stopped along the line when they had the closures, lockdowns and so on and so forth. But it's work in progress. And I think that the effort, all right, as I'm speaking to you now, we're already talking about making sure that the inputs that are required, like the critical ones, like he mentioned, being the seed, planting seed, is made available. We had a meeting even today with the representatives of the BT cotton suppliers to see how we can begin to plan to make sure that the seed comes in. The critical aspect of land preparation, all those things also we're putting into perspective. It is work in progress. We know that the planting of cotton is very important. CBN is fully aware that it's important that you get it right.
Just to sustain, I ask this question because this value chain is in competition with other clients.
Yes.
If you delay at the takeoff, then they will not meet up.
Yes.
They will be chasing others behind. But we are looking at a situation where they will be at par with their counterparts from other clients.
Yes.
Are you working towards this?
We are. And I can tell you that in the immediate case of West Africa, for instance, the activity of cotton production is handled by the states, the Francophone countries. It is like oil, cotton is to them as oil is to us. So they take it, and in the past we had the cotton boards and so on and so forth. I'm not advocating to go back to that, because I think private sector driven activity is always the best to boost an economy. But yes, we are looking at that. We can easily take over. In the past, Nigeria was doing it, and we're saying to ourselves, why can't we do it again? But the wisdom of government to look at the CTG sector, at the contributions, like they were saying, it used to contribute upwards of 25% to our GDP. Today, perhaps we're talking about maybe 4 or 5%. We need to get back there.
Okay. I believe we'll get back. Well, I will still go back to Abdullahi, but quickly, one other thing Abdullahi raised, so that it's not just about producing, it's about having value in the international market, and also like Bakara said, Agbamuru said, Chinese textile industry capitalized on the lapses and hijacked. It was as though whatever was coming from China came from China, whereas Nigeria fed China to get to where it is. So, Gidado, what I'm asking now is, he talked about the fact that if we just produce, we don't think about the research. He talked about research. The need for research to be funded for maybe improve varieties to come up. What can we do in this direction? Because it's about being in competition with others in the global market.
Yes, I know. It depends on so many factors. We already have an improved variety for now, but we need to do more. We need to carry more research and what. And so we need a huge investment in this area, huge investment on research and development, not just in the agri, but all over. I think the weaknesses of government of Africa generally, investing in that R&D, which is very, very key, very critical to economic development of every country, is the bedrock, the foundation of every developed nation. That's research and development that we run from. Is what will take us to that sustainability, is what will take us to that enhanced food security in the country and in Africa at large. And so we would not get tired calling on the government, putting money. Look at Brazil, where they are now. Look at Argentina. Let's copy the Embrapa, of Brazil, their model. Look at how did they make it? It's putting money, investing. So once we do that investment, seed, quality production, availability, getting the seed at the right time the farmer needs the seed, that is very, very key. So because any other thing, all other value chain down the line, they all depend. It all depends on seed availability, seed quality, seed that will give you superior quality lint, seed that will actually give you fiber, good fiber strength and all, because that is what they look at the international level, so that Nigeria will be a global player in this cotton business. Because it used to be, the textile industry used to be the second largest employer of labor. We did it just like our president has said. We did it in the past. Why can't we do it now? Even though now we have so many contending problems, the climate change. It's not, this seed that we have now is climate smart. It's very resilient. We experienced it. Some farmers planted and there wasn't rain for 3 weeks. But when it rained, they all sprouted, they germinated. And they gave, high yield, and all those things. And that is what farming is all about, harvestable yield. Getting good harvestable yield. If you have yield, you're okay. Your profit margin goes up. And then the farmer goes on smiling. Once the profit is there, what else do you want? Then the off-takers, the off-taking of the farmer's produce is very, very important. Otherwise, the farmer will not go back to it again. And then we have some stewardship. In the research area, we have some stewardship plan. There's a stewardship, that's done by the extension workers. So we really have to bring in the extension workers to go teach the farmers. And then presently, farmers are being trained. I think 200 farmers in each state. Some of the states, Katsina, I think in Adamawa, in Gombe, in Kano, they're being trained on how to produce these seeds, the hybrid seeds. Once they learn how to do it, by 2022-23, Nigeria will be able to produce our own seeds. We don't need to import from anywhere. So we will have our own, indigenize, domesticate the technology. That's all we're saying. So that we too, we can get to where India has gotten, we can get to where Brazil is today, we can get to where Argentina is, and US, and so on. It's not all about, just rocket science, but there are so many factors that, play into this.
Okay. Quickly, let's go to Kaduna before we come back to Abuja to work. Abdullahi, we're back to you now, and you raised a couple of issues, but what our concern basically is, besides the fact that we are set to go and we are ready to produce as much to boost the textile industry in Nigeria and also get Nigeria set to export, not just exporting raw cotton, but value-added products beyond the shores of Nigeria. What should be put in place to ensure that all this works to keep the Nigerian cotton producer, textile producer in competition with others beyond the shores of Nigeria?
Well, to be frank, I think there's a lot to be done. To my mind, the farmer is left on his own, alone, unfortunately, because the extension service has collapsed totally, doesn't even exist when it is supposed to be in existence. We want our younger ones to take over what their fathers are doing. The state governments are not serious. There are 26 states or cotton growing states in Nigeria. Each of these states have ministries of agriculture with directors and so on and so forth, getting salary for nothing. They are not promoting agricultural production, like cotton, for example. I am restricting myself to cotton only. None of the states is showing keen interest to ensure that the farmers are maximally utilized, encouraged to produce. They need guidance from time to time to produce. There are some soils that are not compatible to production of cotton. If there are these extension services, they will guide, they can shift a farmer from one land to another where he will get a better yield. I don't understand what the focus is. The farmer, when after using his own initiative to produce either good or bad, they end up showing themselves at the doors of the generis to collect revenue. They will impose levies here and there. So if they are regarding this as means of a source of income to their force, I think there is a need also for them to be alive, to assist the farmer. You see, the generis, for example, that are closer to the farmers, employs a lot of labor. Some of the generis are supposed to establish the factories at rural areas in order to employ the rural dwellers, to carve the rural urban migration. Go to the generis, see the number of casual laborers employed apart from the skilled labor, you will understand what I'm talking. Let me give you a typical example. I don't understand what is the thinking of government. I mean, the state governments think the center will do everything for them. No. That is not the right approach. All the center is trying to do is to augment or to assist the state government to make sure it curbs the rural-urban migration, and to provide employment, gainful employment, to the citizens of the states. If there is scenery in a state, then you can't go and import labor anywhere. It is the same indigenous of that particular locality that will be employed. So in that case, you should show interest. But you cannot leave everything to the private sector, to the and then you at the end of the day you come and say, pay this, do that, and so on and so forth. Taxation here, left and right. In fact, I would call it double taxation, because companies like ours pay taxes to the federal income revenue service. At the same time, the state will impose its own taxes. So, I don't know. We always pray, but believe you me, the farmer needs tremendous assistance. Otherwise, how? You learn or you give input to the farmer and you expect him to pay, to produce and pay. Guide him on how to maximize his income too. He has children also to cater for.
I will come back to you. Let me quickly go to Egbamuno quickly. Egbamuno, besides what Abdullahi has raised from Kaduna, he has raised fundamental issues which I'll bring back to the president of the association. But to you, from all indication, it is clear that this value chain, if properly mainstreamed and put in place, FDI is possible, the moribund industries will rise again, and we'll see everything working, and we'll see people smiling to the banks as a result of export beside FDI. And you see the local industries competing hand in sync with the foreign-based industries. And the issue you raised, which is the fact that the Chinese textile industry leveraged on our lapses here to hijack our cotton products. So looking at the prospects of export and FDI, what are your comments?
You see, the value chain is being supported seriously by government, especially the central bank. At a point, we had a 100 billion cotton, textile and garment fund, which was managed by the Bank of Industry. Subsequently, the the central bank also established the 50 billion CTG fund. Many of us, our factories were closed down before then. We were able to access this fund, single-digit loan of 4.5% interest per annum, and with a long tenor. Tenor is important. You know, we were able to get up to 12, 15 years tenor. That made it possible. We were able to access funds to retool our factory, to import machinery and modernize our factories. This is why the sector, the textile manufacturing, came back alive again. Now, with this promotion of made in Nigeria uniforms, which was championed by the central bank, initially there was a little bit of resistance